Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. My name's FPL Phillips and this is your Game Week 26 installment of your quick guide, and it's going to be a very interesting one this week, so if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe. We've got the captaincy discussion and the top 10 predicted point scorers as always, plus the upcoming fixtures which are going to be more important than ever, newly updated to include all the blanks surrounding Game Week 28 from last night's FA Cup results and what those results mean for teams that are blanking in 2 game weeks time. So without any further ado, let's get into things and kick things off with the captaincy call. So I think rather like Game Week 25, Game Week 26 is going to be another week that is going to split captaincy decisions, and we've got 3 main considerations that I've got here. We've got Harry Kane, Erling Haaland, and then Bukayo Saka, who I guess could represent another Arsenal player. If you don't own Saka, maybe Odegaard could be here in this slot. You can still use the team-dependent data from Saka that's in this graphic. But out of the 3, the top predicted point scorer for this game week is going to be Bukayo Saka. 6.4 predicted points for him, which isn't the highest we've seen. It's actually quite a low compared to previous weeks that we've had in the projections. Haaland second on 5.8, only 0.1 ahead of Harry Kane, down in third on 5.7. And in terms of ownership, Harry Kane's the most differential. Bukayo Saka not actually that far off in terms of live ownership. Erling Haaland the most popular player to own right now, really 94% live ownership for him, very nearly 95% in fact. I think a lot of captaincies overall will still be on him, but in terms of the top 10k, top 100k, I don't think there will be too many armbands on Erling Haaland in Game Week 26. I actually think one of these 2 other players will be the more popular captaincy pick. In terms of the fixtures, Saka's game against Bournemouth at home does look the most attractive fixture. Kane going up against Wolves away, and then Erling Haaland going up against Newcastle, who have looked pretty good defensively so far this season, maybe a little bit more shaky in recent weeks, might be making people think otherwise, but I personally think Newcastle are still a very solid defence. They're going to have Nick Pope back as well. In terms of those statistics, we can see there just how weak the Bournemouth defence is by comparison. 1.64 expected goals conceded per 90 for the Cherries, with Newcastle, by comparison, 0.99, so quite a distance off in terms of defensive ability. However, when we look at teams and which team out of the 3 are scoring the most goals, Manchester City are ahead, 2.10 for them. Arsenal in second on 1.84, so not too far behind really, not a massive gulf there. And then finally, the expected FPL points per 90 for the individual players. Erling Haaland performing the best, unsurprisingly. Harry Kane down in second, with Saka all the way down in third, actually the poorest performer of the 3, 5.12 expected FPL points per 90 for him. So who would I captain out of the 3 is probably just all you want to know. I would actually be sticking my armband on Bukayo Saka if I owned him in my team this week. If you don't own him, then probably be looking at Erling Haaland or Harry Kane, either one of those that you own, or maybe even going for Martin Odegaard could be a decent proposal. Maybe even taking a massive punt and going with someone like Gabriel Martinelli. It could be a week to go for a differential captain if you do own one right now. I think there's no standout option, and for that reason, you could choose to go with someone who's a little bit lower ownership and is going to have that effective ownership that could gain you a big amount in rank if it does go well. But of course, that always carries with it that element of risk. Moving into the top 10 predicted point scorers, then we've seen, I imagine, 3 of the players that will be making up the top 10 here, and lo and behold, they're right at the top. Saka, Haaland, and Harry Kane are up there. Odegaard, who I mentioned, not too far behind, 5.4 predicted points for him, and then the rest of the top 10 is as follows. We've got Salah, and then Ivan Toney down on 5.2 predicted points. And Toney's an interesting one right now because there's a lot up in the air with regards to him. We'll get into Brentford's fixtures in just a second, but he has just recently pleaded guilty to the betting charges that were surrounding him. So we don't know when there could be a ban coming for him anytime soon. From what I've read, he's appealing, or is disputing a few of the charges, and the details, I suppose, are yet to be nailed down. So I think it's a little bit less likely he's going to be banned for this game week, but we don't know when that's going to happen. And there's another thing with Toney, that he is on 8 yellow cards. And we've passed the 5 card point in the year where you can get suspended for that, but Toney He's now at 8, and if a player gets 10 yellow cards before the end of the season, they will receive a 2-game suspension. So if Toney does pick up 2 more yellows, he could be suspended as soon as, double game week 29, which is going to be a key selling point for his fixtures. He may well be banned, or he may well be suspended. So there is a little bit of risk with regards to going with Toney, so do keep that in mind. We've got David Raya, another Brentford player down there, the keeper, on 5.1, with Gabriel, De Bruyne and Saliba, the rest of the top 10. De Bruyne is still carrying a bit of illness with regards to Pep. I'm not sure how true that is, or whether he's just being benched. But De Bruyne I would take with a hint of caution there. But the two Arsenal centre-backs, you can't really go too wrong with. Gabriel coming off the back of that 9-pointer, of course, in game week 25. And we'll get into the meat and bones of the video now, the upcoming fixtures, covering which teams are ranked to have the best fixture difficulty over the next 4 game weeks. And Brighton and Brentford are unsurprisingly at the top. If you want to check how these fixtures change live in time with all the FA Cup results that are going on tonight as well, could change some of the positions of certain teams, not maybe in this table, but overall in the fixture analyzer, then go ahead and check it out over on the website. The links to that is all down in the description below. But it's Brighton and Brentford at the top. I think Brentford might have actually gone above Brighton now due to the fact that they are going to have a fixture in game week 28. That's mainly thanks to Blackburn, who managed to beat Leicester in the FA Cup, which means that the Leicester-Brentford fixture will be going ahead. It means Brentford are going to have 5 fixtures in 3 game weeks because they have that double in 27 and the double in 29 that you can see. So the top of both attacking and defensive fixture difficulty, I think we really need to be looking to load up on those Brentford players. Raya in goal, who we just saw in the predicted points, looks very good. There's a few defenders who look great, so me, Pinnock, or maybe even Rico Henry could be good options. And then Ivan Toney up front, who we've already talked about. But if he comes to terms that he might not be an option, you could maybe look at Mbeumo, but he does take up a forward slot when he's not perhaps the most attractive player. But Visser in midfield as well is one I would be looking at as one to watch from Brentford. He does seem to perform quite well. Same with Mbeumo when Tony's not in the side. They're more relied upon for goals and whatnot. So it could be worth having a look at some of those type of players. Brighton, I think there's a few injuries surrounding some of their key assets in terms of FPL. We've got Estupinian at the back, who is carrying something at the moment. He should be okay for the weekend, though. Same with Solly March. It didn't seem too serious. So those two look very good. McAllister and Matoma as well. There's some great stats you can check out over on the Fantasy Football Fix website using the Opta Stats tool. Since McAllister started playing as a number 10 in game week 23, he's actually looked the best for underlying expected goals data, and Matoma has actually looked way off March and McAllister, so that's something worth considering when you're looking at your Brighton assets. In terms of the rest of the attacking top 5, we've got Chelsea, Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth in there, who all seem to be kind of struggling for goals, so I wouldn't be going near any of those at this time. We've then got Nottingham Forest, Chelsea and Leicester for the defensive fixture difficulty. So, Chelsea, you could end up going Reece James if he seems to be getting decent minutes, but right now, every Chelsea asset seems to be a pretty poor pickup right now. Nottingham Forest, again, a team you probably don't want to invest in. And Leicester, finally, they're going to have that fixture. As mentioned, it will be going ahead in game week 28 against Brentford. Now that Blackburn beat Leicester in the FA Cup. But I still don't think there's too many players worth considering. James Maddison, if he was fit, I think would be my pick of the bunch, but not too much else of note from the Foxes. But that's going to wrap up this episode of Your Quick Guide. Let me know what you thought of it down below in the comments if you've got any feedback. But I'll see you very soon for Eddie versus the algorithm, where we can have a look at how the algorithm team is lining up for game week 26. I'm excited for that one. I'll see you then, hopefully. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you later. Goodbye.